here. Now let me remove one more time. If you guys want to see, it will fail there. Okay. Similarly, we have something called dependency. If you add something like dependent methods equal to, okay, some method should be dependent on another method like that. Here instead of priority, we have something called dependent methods. If you use dependent methods, it will execute the dependent method before executing this method. Okay. We can use dependent method also if we want to, instead of setting priority, if you want to execute to first and then subject next, we can add that. So like this, we have different kinds of annotations. So we have seen after class and before class and test. Okay, similarly we have before method and after method. This will be executed before each test case. Okay, that means before each @test. Whatever the methods have @test, those will be considered like test case. That means before each @test executes, it will execute before method. Okay. Similarly, this will execute after each test case. Okay. So if you have 10 methods, okay, and if you have a before method will execute 10 times. That means it will execute before every method, before every test. Let me show you one example. So this one is clear. Any doubts in this? So you can create a class like normal class. In that scenario, you won't get annotations by default. If you use create and test-ng class option, what I have showed sometime back, you will get @test like that. Okay. Now here I am going to write some methods. Test case 1. Okay. Before for the test case, I want to add before method. Okay. If I want to execute something before executing this test, I have to add an annotation before test. Similarly, after test also we can add. Okay. Before test and after test. So consider I have two test cases. Test case 2, this is test 2.
Hello, Venkat.
Yeah,
I need to log off, Venkat. I'll follow up later. I'll just log off. So,
yeah, okay, fine.
Okay, Venkat. I'll just follow the video later and we'll discuss if there is any doubt tomorrow. Okay?
Okay, wide.
Thank you, Venkat.
Yeah, okay, bye. Before or anything, okay, or else before test cases. If you want to execute anything, you write before test cases like that, one method. Before that, you write the annotation before method. Okay, what it will do is before executing test case, it will execute this. Okay. That means here we have two tests, so it will execute this 2 times. Let me run it. So I am writing this out to understand. how many times it's executing inside before method. See here, it is showing tests run are 0 and failures are 0 and skips are 0. But we have two test cases, it is not showing here. Okay, why is it not showing? We'll see. So all methods should be public. That is the reason it is not considering those as test cases or annotations. Okay. So public void and then run it. So two test cases executed. Okay. What are those two? Test case 1, test case 2, and before every test case executes, what this is test case 1, it is executing. Okay, this is test 1. Before that, before method invoke. Before executing second test, it invoked the before method one more time. Okay, so before method will be executed before each test case. Okay, so after class this will be executed once for each class. Okay, after executing all the test cases. After executing all the test cases. Similarly, before it will execute once, this will be executed once for each class, but before executing tests, before starting the test cases execution, it will execute. Okay, this will be executed once for each class before executing. Okay, before executing all the test cases. Okay, test at the rate test. This is like a test case. It is like a test case. This indicates test case. If you write at the rate test before any method, it will be considered like a test case. Okay. Similarly, we have something called test. Okay, we have the order of this. You can see full test cases. All test cases we can make it like a suit. Okay, inside suit we have something called tests. Okay, inside tests again you will be having classes. Okay, super one is suit. Inside suit we will be having test. Inside test we will be having classes. Inside classes we will be having methods or test cases. Okay, so if you want to run some method for a full suit once, okay, before starting the suit it will execute. Okay, it will execute before starting suit. Okay, similarly if you write some annotations after suit, okay, if you want to execute something after executing full suit, okay, you have to write after suit. Write a method and use the annotation after suit. It will execute after executing test cases suit. Okay. So we will be having one suit. Inside suit we will be having tests. Okay. This is for tests. Before executing tests. Similarly, this is after executing. I will show you example after executing tests. Okay. Similarly, some test cases we can form it as a group. Okay. For particular group, if you want to run some precondition you use before groups. Okay, it will be executed before groups, and similarly after group also we have. We'll see all these one by one. Yeah.
Like, can you minimize that window, because I think I cannot see the leftmost part.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks.
1 second. Are you able to see it now?
Yes.
It executes before group. Okay. It executes after the group. Now, whatever we have seen, that is like one class right here. Till now, just we created one and then we did right click and then we did it, right? How to write multiple classes and how to run those. Okay, see, like this another class. This is just to understand before and after method. This is clear, right? Similarly, if I have two classes, then only I can make it a test. Okay, test contains sub things as classes. Okay, so main thing is suit. Inside suit we have test. Inside test we have classes. Inside class we have test methods. Okay, so for each class here, if I write, we have seen before class, after class in previous example. So before method, after method also we have seen. Okay, similarly we can write after method also. Okay, it will execute once. Okay, once for each test case. Okay, how many tests you have, those many times it will execute. Similarly, we can write class we have seen and method also we have seen. Then how to write a test. Okay, inside a test, subclasses are like classes. See here, this is like, yeah. First one is.
So, what if there is a, I think I asked the same question earlier also, like if it is the main method, if it is there, will that be given the first priority? Or what all you are
No. Giving us, see here, we will add once. If you want, we can add and try public static void main. Okay, if you want to run it as test ng string, okay, some method sysout, this is from main. Okay, now if you want to run this one, see here we'll get two options: run as Java application, run as test engine. Okay, if you run as Java application, only your main method will execute. If you run as test engine, only your test cases related things will execute. Main related will not execute. Okay, that's why here in previous example, no main, we don't get run as Java application, only test engine.
Okay.
So if it is a Java, if you have main method, there you will get like run as Java application. In that scenario, it will execute main. Inside main, if you are calling anything, it will come. Okay. So main, if you write, to no use of that one here, because without main only, test engine will take care of executing these tests. Okay. So suit is main one. Inside that we have something called test. This is one test. Another one is another test. Okay. Inside test we will be having class. So we can write n number of classes. Okay. So all these class comes like a test. Earlier, if you see the result, okay, whatever we have executed, it will show test. Okay, again suit. Okay, in this suit, how many tests are there? Earlier we wrote only one class. by default we did not mention any suit or test. It will consider default test, default suit. Its name is inside that one class. Okay, whatever the class we wrote, it is a part of some test. What is the test? Default test. That is part of some suit. What is that suit? Default suit. How many tests are there in this test cases are there in this test? How many test cases are there in overall this suit? That is what it is showing 2 times output here. If you observe, one is default suit. How many tests are there? Another one is default test. How many test cases are there inside that test? Okay. So I think this will take some more time. Can we continue tomorrow? Because in a hurry, if we finish, maybe it may not be helpful much, because these things we should understand thoroughly. Okay? I have programs. If you guys want, I can finish it now only. In another 10 minutes, I have to go outside. Okay? I have programs and all I can show now, but in a hurry, instead of this one, better we'll go through this tomorrow if you want. Okay? If it is one program, we can right click and run as test ng. If it is two, how to do? We cannot right click to undo, right? So see here, will it allow? Run as. It is not allowing. Okay. For that, then as I showed here, multiple classes. How to use multiple classes and make a test, and how to use multiple tests and make a overall suit. Okay. For that, we need to use some XML configuration. That we call it here. I have, wherever you have a program or your classes, inside that project, you create a XML file. Okay, this is the syntax of that one. Okay, this format we should maintain first two, and this order also. First one is suit. Inside suit, sub one is children is test. Okay, inside that we can have classes. Class. Okay, so inside classes you can have a number of classes. See here, Gmail type 1 class I wrote simply. One class. Inside that I have some methods. Test case 1, test case 2. Okay. Inside that one I have test case 1 and test case 2. Similarly, Gmail type 2. I have another class. Inside that also I have 2 classes. Okay. When we are running these two, and if you want to make these two as one suit, okay, you make the XML as like this. Inside classes, okay, you write 2 classes. That classes tag you keep inside test. Okay, one kind, consider this is Gmail test. Similarly, another test, Yahoo Mail test. Okay, so inside that 2 classes I have same Yahoo Mail test 1, test 2 there also. So for this full test, how many tests are there? 1 test, 2 tests. If I want to run some precondition for all these classes, that means for this test, I should use @ before test. Okay, see here, @ before test. It will be executed before executing all the test cases of this test. Okay, similar, let me show you here, Gmail type 1. See, before test, after test. Okay, this will be executed for all the test cases, whatever are part of this test. That means for these 2 classes, before executing these 2 class test cases, it will execute @ before test, and after executing all test cases of this test, it will execute @ after test. Okay, now you understood, right? When it will execute @ before test, after test. Before executing these 2 classes test cases, it will execute that. Okay. Similarly, you have two tests. Okay. For these two tests are part of this suit. For this full suit, if I want to run a precondition at the rate before suit, similarly after executing all the test cases of this suit, if I want to run some post condition, I should use after suit. Okay, like that two annotations are there. Suit. Okay. Here I did not write inside this example. Here we can see. Okay. After suit, before suit. Okay. After test, before test. Similarly, groups. If I have two kinds of, see here, groups. This is my test. A group example. I have three tests. Okay. Groups equal to, I can give group name. This test should be, test case 1 should be part of functional test as well as unit test. Test case 2 should be part of only unit test. Test 3 should be part of functional test. If I want to run only functional tests, how to run? If I want to run unit tests only, how to run? If I want to run both, how to run? Okay, at that time, for this group, this is the pre-test, this is the post-test. If you want to specify like that, we should use at the rate before group, at the rate after group. Okay, see here, at the rate before group and after group. Okay, then how to run this group of test cases? While writing the test case, you use group parameter and then set to which group these tests belongs to. Okay, so here two kinds of groups are there, functional test group and unit test group. Okay, now in XML also we have to specify how to run the group. Okay, generally inside test, as I said earlier, we have classes. Okay, consider I have two types of classes, group 1, group 2. So here only one I showed, another example also, here also some tests are there. These two are participating in some groups. Okay, that's why here in XML I mentioned go through those two classes. Okay, and for groups we have something called groups tag. Inside that we have to mention run and which one you have to run. You have to specify. Include and name of the group. If you specify only those tests it will execute. Okay, if you specify all the, if you include all the group names, it will execute all the test cases. If some test cases are part of both the groups, it will execute only once instead of two times. Okay, so this one I will run and show you tomorrow. Okay, like this we have annotations before, after. Okay, related to suits, tests and groups and class and method. And similarly we can set the priority for methods also, and to inform to test ng, this is a test method, we should use at the rate test annotation. Okay, guys, is it okay or any confusion in this? Any doubts?
Groups, I didn't really get to understand what exactly
Okay,
is.
yeah, okay, no problem. Tomorrow with examples I will explain. Okay,
Okay. All
so
right.
that we'll understand clearly groups. Okay,
Thank you.
okay, guys, have a nice day.
You have a good one too with it.
Okay.